All team, give it everything you got.
It's time to fangirl flail with Fangirls Going Rogue.
Count me in. I don't think there's anything more important in the Star Wars universe than the fans.
News, discussion, and commentary from the female point of view.
You call this a diplomatic solution?
No, I call it aggressive negotiations.
With your hosts, Teresa Delgado, Tricia Barr, and Sarah Woloski.
Boy, am I glad to hear your voice.
Strap in, because this is where the fun begins.
I like the sound of that.
Welcome everybody back to another episode of Fangirls Going Rogue, actually episode 33. I'm one of your hosts, Teresa Delgado, and with me are my amazing co-hosts, as always, Sarah Woloski. How are you doing this fine Tuesday?
It is Tuesday. It's Tuesday. We just had a 3-day weekend. It was Memorial Day weekend. Yeah. And I was having fun participating in a Star Wars Reads Day event. So I'm doing fabulous because I'm on a high from that.
That's really awesome. We're going to get into that more later because I was super confused why there was a Star Wars Reads Day not in October,
right,
or December, whenever it is. They usually do it. But also with us is our other co-host who we cannot do the show without, Tricia Barr. You've been traveling a lot lately.
I have been traveling. I was in North Carolina and Tampa and back home, and I had been in North Carolina the weekend before that. So around the world and around the East Coast, being chased by Tropical Storm Bonnie.
Oh,
yeah. The storms are not fun. It's been raining here every single day. I kind of feel like I'm on Camino or something because it's literally raining all the time.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. It's been like 72 degrees and nice and fabulous over here in SoCal.
Rub it in, rub it in. So I'm getting ready to go to Disney World, and I just thought I would bring up that we do have a date for the Star Wars Galactic Spectacular Fireworks, which is a brand new show with all kinds of new technology and projections and all kinds of awesome stuff that I don't get to see.
Oh, no. How long are you going to be there until?
I'm going to be there for a week, but I leave on the 14th, and it starts on the 17th. And I'm just so like, are you serious? Couldn't you just like bump that forward a few days?
That's like fangirl tears worthy.
I was really upset the day they announced the opening of it. Now, the one thing they did do is they extended the Star Wars fireworks that are going on right now, which the name is Symphony in the Stars. They had that stopping in May, and they have extended it until the new fireworks show starts. So at the very least, I'll get to watch that.
Well, those fireworks are beautiful. We got to see them in April, so you won't be disappointed.
Well, let's jump into some of the news that's been going on. There's been a lot of stuff happening, and the first thing that's kind of ruffling everybody's feathers is the reshoots that are going to be happening for Rogue One. And it came from a website called Page 6, which I think is an offshoot of another, is it the New York Times or the New York Post or something like that? It's an offshoot website. Anyway, they have a source, an unnamed source, so we can only believe that for as much as that's worth. But apparently they are going to be doing like 4 weeks or something worth of reshoots on Rogue One, and it's upsetting a lot of people and scaring a lot of people, but I can't really understand why. Tricia, what do you think is going on with this reshoot?
Well, one thing they didn't have the knowledge of how fans responded to what in The Force Awakens, and you have to polish a story. So this doesn't surprise me. The editor of The Force Awakens recently spoke, and there's more come out about The Force Awakens, like the scene when Rey closes her eyes in the battle, that was added in reshoots. It's just such a little touch, but it ties it in to Maz telling her, close your eyes. So this is just maybe polishing it. And I don't know, saying some people can see someone say, well, they're not happy with that. Well, it's just not up to the level they wanted. And that doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means they would like to improve it. And I like when people are going after and trying to achieve the best possible outcome. They have time, they have the money, they're going to make the best movie they can.
Yeah, I would agree that, I mean, most big movies have reshoots. That's just how it is. Like a lot of scenes, and I believe J.J. Abrams even discussed this on Star Trek, the 2009 version. He had this huge shoot when the young Jim Kirk is in the car, like driving down the road at the very beginning of the movie. And he forgot to get all of these close-ups of the actor in the car. So he went back and reshot all of that. And if you look, the actor's actually wearing a wig in the reshoots. But he did say that. So I don't think it's very common that movies have reshoots. So the fact, I think it's just one reporter sensationalizing it by putting that headline, oh, there's reshoots, so that must mean that they don't like it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you guys. I think that a lot of times we, as an audience, sort of take things out of proportion. The thing is we don't hear about the reshoots that are happening on every other movie. We don't know that it's happening. And they even do, I wouldn't say reshoots, but reanimations and new re-dialogue recordings and stuff on animated movies as well. So I think it's something that's very common in film, like you guys were just talking about. But I definitely don't think it needs to go down that path of, well, Disney's not satisfied and Disney's not happy and they think it's going to do bad. I really don't think that's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
So I guess, and I'm glad that we talked about that because I had still sort of been undecided on what my thought process was. So thank you for deciding for me what my brain thinks.
You're welcome. Happy to help.
Well, there is something that I have to talk about. I have to bring in a little bit of galactic fashion here because they just released a new Dooney and Burke line of Star Wars items, and it is all black, Imperial logos, Vader helmets, TIE fighters, Rebel logos actually worked into this black sort of patent leather, but actual leather, but shiny design on the new Dooney and Burke bags. And it's not just the normal bags they carry, but there's this cute little wristlet. It's adorable, and I want it.
You
really
want it.
bad.
Oh, let me see. I'm going to add Galactic Fashion here on Twitter. And yeah, they've got a picture of it right there. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. They are so amazing.
Now, do any of you own, I don't remember, do y'all own Disney or Star Wars Dooney and Burke stuff?
Yeah, I have like 7 or 8 different ones. It's the Run Disney events. They do me in.
See, because I know you have the Marvel stuff, like the Avengers stuff.
So I
know you have some of that.
I have one Marvel bag. I have like 3 or 4 Tinkerbell because the one year they came out with this Tinkerbell design I absolutely had to have, and I went a little nuts and got all 3 bags because I was crazy. And at that time, I didn't have any Dooney and Burke bags. And then I have a generic Disneyland bag, and I know now I have the Star Wars one as well.
Got it. And Tricia?
I don't have any of the Dooney and Burks. It hasn't been my thing, but I like this one, so it's tempting. The Loungefly is coming out with the Ray Messenger bag in August, and I'm kind of holding out for that.
Yeah, and I love my BB-8 Loungefly bag. Like you, Tricia, I get comments every time I go out with that.
Yeah, and I have several Loungefly bags now. I think we all have the BB-8. I have R2 Boba Fett ones as well. But as you guys know, I love designer bags, and I have a bunch of Vera, and I have a bunch of the Disney Vera. So I am picking up my first Star Wars Dooney and Burke bag. I have a Disney one. I have a Disney Dooney, a little messenger hipster style small one. That's just Disney. But I'm getting my first one when we go, and it's the Force Awakens satchel bag that is going home with me.
Awesome.
Like in less than or in just about a week. So I will be, the first day we're there, I am going, and I will be buying that the very first thing I do. So can't wait. So I'm debating on the wristlet. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet.
I love wristlets, honestly. Like
wristlets are amazing.
Yeah, for me, it's a perfect evening in the park. Like, I love it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's jump into some Star Wars Celebration Europe updates. We haven't gotten a whole lot of information about Star Wars Celebration until the last week or two is when everything has really started coming out. So Tricia, since you're the only one of us going, I'm going to let you take this and run with it. Tell us about what we are doing at Star Wars Celebration.
What we are doing. And I'm so excited because I actually got the email that told me when my panel is, and so now I know when it is, so I can talk about it. I am hosting on Friday at noon a panel, STEM Heroes and Heroines of Star Wars. So it's going to go into the different ways that we see science, technology, engineering, and math careers portrayed in Star Wars. Everything from Ahsoka, who's Fix-It Girl, like in the Mortis arc when she's in there fixing the ship, or Rey, obviously, who tinkers and can do all sorts of things, to Han Solo, and all these different ways we see that can inspire people to become, say, they saw Star Wars and wanted to be an astronaut, or they wanted to be a pilot, which is very much a science and engineering related career, or all those ways. People who want to get into virtual reality, video games, even the animation now is very computer oriented. So we're just going to kind of go into all that. Oh, and some droid building stuff too. So I'm really excited for that panel on Friday. And then we are one of the few podcasts that will be coming to you from the podcast stage. I will be with Bethany Blanton from Star Wars Report, and we will be doing a Star Wars Report Fangirls Going Rogue podcast on Saturday. That is at 12:30. So lots of things happening.
Awesome.
Very
you know what?
cool.
That podcast stage, is that like in a room or is that on the show floor? Like where is that?
It is. I'm not sure it's a room. That's always a good question. I'm not sure it's a room. I believe it's out in the fan panel area, but they do know they're podcasting, so it must be set up. So they have it set up. They're also going to be that same area will be where the Rebel Legion and the cosplayer groups get to kind of, they do those panels that kind of say, this is how you join us. This is how you can become part of our team and do what we do. So it's going to be a room or an area of some size. I'm just not sure if it's enclosed. I know so little about what it's going to be like over there, but we will be coming live from the show, and that'll be fun. Bethany's been on Fangirls Going Rogue, obviously, so we'll have a good time.
Yeah, and the Jedi News guys are actually heavily involved in all the stuff that's going on with that fan area, because the caravan of the Force and all that stuff is sort of working all together to run all of that. So it should be done very well. If I know those guys at all, and I do, it will be a very, very cool thing. Now, we also learned that Amy Ratcliffe is hosting, I think it's like the behind the scenes stage or something similar to that this year. So congratulations to Amy for getting to host. I think that's awesome. And I think David Collins is also hosting a stage as well. And then obviously Warwick Davis has the main stage. And I'm kind of curious how many stages there actually are compared to the last celebration. But so far it looks like 3, maybe?
3. That's what it seems like. 3 main stages, areas, sort of like they had last time. So this was going to be a little bit smaller of a convention than we were used to for Anaheim, but it looks like there'll still be, the same type of vibe. It's a day shorter, so it starts on Friday. And so we'll be learning much. We'll be able to talk about it. I will be doing some recordings when I can. I'll be sharing some of them with Skywalking Through Neverland, and then try to get some of up here on Fangirls Going Rogue if I can get interviews or whatever. You know how those are.
Oh,
you never know who you're going to run into and who you can flip a mic on. So
just bring your recorder and hope.
Exactly.
Well, we also learned that Dave Filoni will be there to talk Star Wars Rebels at Star Wars Celebration Europe. And of course, in the style of Dave Filoni, he had to do a very cryptic tweet that said he took a picture of the spine of a book and not revealing the title of the book, just the Star Wars words, and they were gold and sort of rubbed through as if the book was old. And he said, always remember there is some truth in legends. And I'm just like, okay, What are you trying to say? And then I decided, you know what? I'm not even going to try to figure it out because you do your thing. And I'll just wait until you tell me what it is. But that does open up some conversations that I know are happening on Hyperspace Theories.
Oh.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is we just recorded episode 18 and we were talking about the influence of Legends books and also, ways that everybody who's working on Star Wars now at Lucasfilm has a favorite Legends book. So there's things that they love about their stories. Obviously, we've rebooted. They can go in many different places. But if you recall, and we talked about this book, Heir to the Empire, a favorite character is Thrawn, and then beyond that, the Chiss. At one point, there was a Chiss design for Star Wars Rebels. And some people have speculated that spine is Heir to the Empire, the original version of it.
Oh, wow.
So I don't think we're going to see all of the Legends characters, but for all the guff that Dave Filoni got over the years for running over Legends during the Clone Wars era, when George Lucas was doing his thing, I believe he's been championing some of our favorites of many of us. So I'm excited to see whatever it is. I don't have a preference. I just think that we might see something really fun that'll get people excited.
Cool. And we also found out that Gareth Edwards and Carrie Fisher will be there. So far, the guest lineup isn't very extensive. It's actually kind of small. Hopefully that will grow within the next few weeks to something that will be worthy of Star Wars Celebration Europe. I just don't want them to chintz out on them. Oh, I know getting people over there is a lot harder, but I'm just like, come on, you rich celebrity people.
I know a lot of people have been worried about this, but we have to remember they're not trying to sell people on the con because, it was back when the celebrations weren't selling out. They were trying to give people reasons by putting out celebrities guests early. This convention is sold out. And so really this is about building up excitement right in front of it. So I don't feel like there's not going to be amazing people. I don't know if you guys saw the artwork for it. So they have Rogue One and The Force Awakens. And I feel like this is Daisy Ridley and John Boyega's hometown. They're going to be there. We also know that Gareth Edwards, when he has his panel, there'll be special guests. I just haven't said who. I feel like this will be very much like the JJKK panel. So
only the GE panel, yes, not to be confused with GE electrical things.
That's what I call it, the GEKK panel. Now I have to
GEKK, JJKK, GEKK.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see a lot of really exciting things come up, and more, and it's just a different kind of build. I mean, everything's been a little slower, but I don't think it's because there won't be big names and there won't be amazing things happening there.
I would have to agree. And then the whole thing kicks off, I believe, on Thursday night with that hashtag Cantina. And Tricia, you said you didn't know what this was.
Yeah, so I still have to listen to Skywalking Through Neverland so I can find out. But
yes,
you know, right?
Well, we know a little bit more, and we actually, after our episode, well, let me preface this by saying that, Star Wars Celebration Orlando was announced in this past month. I know, I'm so excited. And
I think I'm going, by the way.
Oh, good.
Because I think I'll let you finish and then I'll finish.
Okay. All right. Well, Star Wars Celebration Orlando was finally announced, and it is April, 13th through 17th? 2017?
April Easter time.
Yes, April Easter. Yes, I know. So, of 2017. And basically, we were so excited at Skywalking Through Neverland that this announcement happened, and we decided to go, that we did episode 121 of Skywalking Through Neverland is totally about looking ahead to Star Wars Celebration Orlando, as well as Star Wars Celebration Europe. And Tricia, we had you on as well with a few more guests, just talking about, what we're looking forward to, including Mark Daniel, who is the Celebration Stage warm-up host. And so it was super exciting conversation. And Mark Daniel mentions hashtag Cantina a little bit. Well, he didn't mention too much. It's still a little bit of a mystery to us. However, after this episode of Skywalking Through Neverland went out, I got a Facebook message from Martin Keeler, who is actually the person putting on #Cantina in Europe. And he has subsequently said that he will be on our show to promote it, basically, for Celebration Europe. So look for an upcoming Skywalking Through Neverland with all about Celebration Europe as we get closer to the event. And then, Tricia, you'll be able to hear a little bit more.
Awesome, because as I said, I don't feel like I'm not in the know, but I had barely heard about that in just a couple weeks before we recorded. So
yeah. It was interesting because Martin Keeler had heard the episode and heard your comments and was like, "Oh, I guess I need to explain this more."
Exactly. And it's hard because you just don't. I've talked to a couple people. I've asked them, and they're like, "Oh, it's going to be really cool inside there." But they're also people that have a little bit different likes than I do, so it's hard. I haven't heard anybody who knows about it who has similar taste to me. So everybody's got their own cup of tea. So
yes.
Sometimes we just need more information. I'm like, the mystery box for me isn't always a good thing.
Me too. Like when her universe posts her mystery shirts. It's like, yeah, I don't know what that is. I'm not buying it.
I never buy mystery shirts. I'm like, no, I want to know what's on that shirt.
Me too.
I bought it.
Oh.
When I did it, I got the Star Wars, the May the Force Be With You in all the different languages shirt.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. Pretty cool. Now, back to Star Wars Celebration Orlando. So I was all excited and I was like, I'm going to go. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. And me and Sarah and a few other people, we started making all these plans. And then I'm like, oh, wait, that's the same as my 5-year wedding anniversary. And we had all these plans to go to Hawaii. But it looks like those plans are changing to the point to where Star Wars Celebration will be feasible. So, yay.
Yay.
Now, if I get killed by a bear after Star Wars Celebration, then that's okay.
Killed by... Is this like when Jonah Marie was like almost in a car accident and thought, no, I can't die yet. I haven't seen The Force Awakens.
Sort of, because we're planning on going to Yellowstone and camping it. So if I die by bear, I will have at least been to Star Wars Celebration Orlando.
Okay. You filled in the gaps there. I wasn't sure.
The strange things we think about,
yes,
for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, I have one person that I hope they bring to Star Wars Celebration Orlando, and that is Chewbacca Mom.
Yeah, please.
Please. Candace Payne is my hero.
Yes.
So in fact, I was like, oh, what is this? And I'm like, what is this people are just going crazy about? And then I couldn't help by the time I finished watching her video, just giggling hysterically and to the point I was crying.
Yes.
So thank you, Candace, for your joy in Star Wars.
You know who I want to have on the show next month?
Who?
Candace Payne. Let's do it. She's going on James Corden. I'm sure we can get her.
She went on she went to New York to do the morning show. Then she got to go to LA, do James Corden. And have you guys seen the video of her realizing that J.J. Abrams?
Yes, when she meets J.J. Abrams, that is one of the best reactions ever.
Oh my goodness. We brought someone else to make this sketch like even better. It's J.J. Abrams. Like. It's all good. It's all good. I was watching my friend.
I can't talk. Hold on. I need to process.
She's hugging James, and then she's like, no, I got to process. Hold on.
Yeah, he's trying to talk to her. JJ's trying to talk to her. JJ's like chasing her, trying to give her a hug, and she's like backing up, like, what is happening?
Oh, well, I love it when they're in the car, and JJ's like, oh, can I give you one actor's note? One direction note? Oh my God, it's so funny.
So apparently now you can't buy the Chewbacca mask. It's gone.
Yeah.
And any then she went on the Star Wars show. Loved her on that, the new Star Wars show that's coming out every week. But I really loved her interview, and you have to listen to her just talk about, her family. She didn't start out as a Star Wars fan. She got introduced to it by her husband. She started, I believe, in the prequel trilogies. So she came in and she just, a lot of times we take our Star Wars very seriously. That's why we podcast and we talk about it. And we have a lot of fun, but she's just pure joy. That's her take on it. And it kind of makes you go, yay. And seeing a mom who's talking about, this mask is not my kid's, it's mine. That was the whole reason why she recorded. So I just loved her interview. And I saw that Andy Gutierrez tweeted that people were like greeting her like a rock star when she was going around Lucasfilm. So, and
that's awesome.
Well, we want to thank Chewbacca Mom for spreading joy. Star Wars is joy.
And giggling. I feel like if I ever am down, I'm just going to hit her video.
There you go.
Oh, I'm such a happy Chewbacca!
So there are new Lego Star Wars keychains, guys, and they're the Force Awakens characters, and I have to have them all.
Where? When? Where are these posted? What? I must see.
They're not on the Lego website yet. Jedi News reported them, but I'll find a link for you. But they are cute. I don't know if you've ever had a Lego keychain before.
I have 3 Lego keychains currently on my keychain.
Okay.
I use them all the time.
So then you know what I'm talking about. So there's Finn, Rey, BB-8, and Poe Dameron. And on JediNews.com, it's dated on May 30th. So it was just yesterday. So it should be fairly easy to find. And you can see pictures of the front ends and backs of them.
I want them all.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm going to go to my Lego store and see if they've got them in yet.
I've never owned a keychain, but I've bought them for friends as little goodie giveaways.
Well, then you should get them for yourself.
The Rey one is mine.
Yes.
I want all of them.
Yeah, I want them all.
Poe is insulted, Tricia.
Where's Kylo, though?
Insulted.
They need to be
They
Kylo
didn't do
Ren.
him. They probably will do a second wave.
Yeah. I think I'll start with Rey and BB-8. My Leia, my Hoth Leia, and my Superman will have to, sub out.
Sub out.
And also, it looks like the Freemaker Lego sets are going to be coming out this summer, too. So I'm excited to see those.
Yep.
Yeah. In fact,
everything about Lego is awesome.
In fact, one of our Skywalkers will be attending at the Walt Disney Studios an event for the Freemaker Adventures next week. So Kai Charles will be reporting on that for Skywalking Through Neverland.
Well, from cute Lego things for us adult kids, we're fan kids, right? We're fangirl fan kids. I have seen a lot of Star Wars people doing things that we love to talk about, which is talk about young women getting into Star Wars and storytelling. First was J.J. Abrams, who spoke to young female filmmakers at the Archer Film Festival. And he went out and explained to them about the process of movie making and told them to learn to trust their own voices. So kind of love that message, because that's where Fangirls Going Rogue started, was to trust our own voices. And so to watch him kind of give young women that advice and to speak to them. And then they had the National Council on Women in IT, Dave Filoni, spoke about the female characters in Star Wars, which was fantastic. If you haven't watched that video on StarWars.com, I highly recommend it. And he talked about Leia, he goes for like 5 minutes about Leia. He's like, I don't know why anybody thinks she needed to be rescued, because, if you go through A New Hope, she's just in charge the whole time. She's cool, calm, collected. Yes, Han and Luke come in there, but then they have no plan for getting out. So it's all back on Leia. So I love his little opening about that. But he talked about strong female characters, and he said his motto is sort of to make diverse dimensional characters, which I really liked him saying that. So, but he said he has worked over the years. He remembers playing sports and people saying, you're playing like a girl, and that was an insult. And he learned over the years of talking to his wife to realize that some of the things that we're all ingrained with are sometimes negative, and to turn that around. And he talked about empowering young women, and also the male creators that are telling stories to do a better job. And I think about the storytelling they're doing. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up was Geena Davis, who has been kind of leading the charge in the film industry to change Hollywood's perceptions. And she spoke at the FCLA event in Hollywood. And she noted that there is definitely a chance that this is a turning point this time in Hollywood with leads like Rey. And we also see Jyn Erso in Rogue One, but that the numbers haven't changed yet. And that would be the numbers for the background characters, not just the lead characters.
I was wondering what she was talking about.
Yeah. So it's not, she doesn't talk about, she says, if you're writing a script, you should just, there are so many times when characters default to male. And if you look at a Disney movie that they did the counts on all of them, like 17% of the characters in the background were female and the rest were male. And that doesn't represent, if you walked into a crowd, that's not what you see. So she says the numbers of all the other characters don't represent gender equality. And we look at Rogue One, and that's been a concern that's been brought up. So you never know. Maybe they went back and were addressing something like that in their reshoots of Rogue One. So, that's one of the reasons she essentially says we need to keep talking, to keep having the conversation, that we're here and that we're all the audience, that, the audience is very diverse and therefore the film should reflect that. So that was a lot of fun.
That's interesting. You know what? Have you guys seen Finding Dory? There's been a tweet going around that the trailer, there's a lesbian couple in Finding Dory. Like,
I did not see that.
I have not seen that. I mean, I've watched the trailer several times. When?
It's the couple who are, what is it? It's a pram. What's a pram? A
pram is a baby carriage.
Thank you. A baby carriage. I could only think of the English word. The baby carriage is.
Oh, we're not talking fish.
No. It's the couple who has the baby carriage, and they turn around and there's like some fish in it instead of their baby or something like that.
Oh, but you know what? I did notice that. I noticed it, but I didn't take, I thought you were talking about in the fish.
Okay, no. But I found that interesting. I was like, oh, that's cool. And of course, that's, probably a nod to Ellen as well.
Oh, of course it is.
And Frozen had its own little, what's his name? The shopkeeper.
Not Hans.
With his family in the
Doo-doo. Yes.
So all sorts of representation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and there's been a lot of story going around recently about them wanting to, in the Frozen sequel, for them to give Elsa a girlfriend. And Idina Menzel has chimed in and said that she would love to see that. So there's been some talk about that, rather than her finding a prince or a king, dink. Right.
Well, I'm just throwing it out there. We have Rey, and then we have Elsa. Obviously, Anna found somebody in either a soulmate, or even to see characters now that don't necessarily need that at all to make their fulfillment. So I'm a shipper, so I kind of like the romance angle, but not every time does every character have to get there. But I would love to see them keep shaking things up. So Disney has been very good about trying to improve their storytelling in that way.
I personally like romance, so
I do too. Yeah. I'm not opposed to it, but I think that every character, that doesn't necessarily have to be every character story, or sometimes the romance is just there in the background. So
true. Or in your face.
Well, I know. I can't speak. I got into Star Wars because of Han and Leia romance, so yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Totally a shipper.
All right. So we said earlier that we were going to talk a little bit more about your Star Wars Reads Day event at the complete wrong time of the year. So please fill me in on what is going on over there in SoCal, and why are you backwards?
Yeah. So there are Star Wars Reads Day events in October, but the Rancho Cucamonga Library system is huge. And there's a library that's right at Victoria Gardens, which is an outdoor shopping center, basically. And every year they host a Star Wars Reads event on a Memorial Day weekend. And it started with just one day, a couple hours. Each year, for 9 years, it's gotten bigger and bigger until finally this year, it was actually held over 2 days, May 28th through 29th. And it was kind of like a mini Star Wars celebration. It was like 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. each day. And they had all these tents set up that had crafts for the kids. They had Star Wars Legos laid out that kids could work on. They had book signings by Star Wars authors like Michael Kogi. They had little like hour-long almost convention-like appearances by Michael Kogi, also, and talks, you know. They also had a Randy Martinez, Star Wars artist, was there, and he hosted a couple hours long of drawing sessions for kids. So he would draw like a Yoda and have people follow along and draw with him. And we periscoped a little bit of that. And they also had a Star Wars band. Like there was so much going on. And they even had a headliner. They had Billy D. Williams there.
Wow.
So it's this huge event, and Richard and I were asked to host one of these panels, and it's very kid-focused. So what we put on was a Star Wars trivia game show, basically. So on Sunday for an hour at 1 p.m., we took over the main stage and we had a bunch of prizes and we asked, you know, we had a bunch of games like Pictionary and Heads Up, all by the Star Wars universe. And what's funny is one of the games we had was who is this sound effect? And so we played the sound effects, you know, like maybe Darth Vader breathing or something. And, you know, the kids had to raise their hand and shout out. And if they got it, they got a sticker. Well, one of the sound effects started with Chewbacca mask. And then it was Chewbacca Mom because you heard her laughing.
Oh, wow.
It was awesome because people were like, it's Chewie, but no. And then there's the laughing. So we knew it was Chewbacca Mom. So bringing that around right there. So we had a really awesome time and we got to meet some new Skywalkers because Rancho Cucamonga is about an hour away from where we live. So we got to meet some families and some Skywalkers who had girls who also listened to Fangirls Going Rogue as well as Skywalking. So it was super exciting to meet these families. And I also met Jen Marie, who is at Across the Stars on Twitter. And you guys know her, right? Was she on our show?
I've known her for a very long time.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. She hosts AnakinandHisAngel.com, the blog. Yeah. Yeah. You worked with her.
Yeah. I used to write for her. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. So that was super exciting to meet her. And she came out, and anyone who met us, of course, got a button. So we had a great time, and it promises to be the same event, even bigger next year, because we learned that all of the stores and restaurants around there give the library money to do more things every year because they make money because of this huge influx of people. So it's really fun. If you're in the Southern California area, I really recommend it.
That sounds cool. All right, so let's get into some feedback. We had put out, if anybody wanted us to talk about anything specific for this episode of Fangirls Going Rogue, and we had somebody ask us, actually a couple people ask us to tell what we are hoping to see from season 3 of Rebels. So is there anything that you can think of specifically that you would really like to see in season 3 Rebels? I want to see more Hera. If I had one thing, I want to see more Hera.
I want to see Kanan stay blind. I believe that would be interesting and different and unique. And it's always cool to see people tackle disabilities and find different ways to deal with things. So that's what I would like to see. And other than that, I don't think we're going to see Ahsoka. And I would like to see more of Captain Rex. And that's for Jonah Marie.
Nice.
Yes. Okay. You brought up Rex. I want to see more Hondo.
I want to see what Sabine's hair color is this time.
Oh, good call. What would you like it to be?
Hot pink and orange. Did she already have that?
She kind of had orange a little. Maybe like hot pink and purple.
Ooh. Yeah, that'd be pretty neat.
Fangirls Going Rogue colors would be great.
Yeah, which is like that teal, hot pink, orange. In fact, speaking of that, I just got my Fangirls Going Rogue t-shirt in the mail today.
Yay!
Woo!
What color did you get?
I got purple, and it's that soft material. So it's like a heather purple. It looks great on it. And my mom got a shirt, and my dad got a shirt.
Nice.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo. I would like to see Sabine's hair, her do like a ombre, instead.
Yes.
She's, and so do a little bit of vertical change there of color as opposed to her, the way she has it now, which is all one, it's one color. That's hard work though.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of it.
In maintaining that color.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
What do they use in the Star Wars universe to maintain cool colored hair? That's what we need here.
A good hairstylist.
Good hairstyle. Who does Sabine go to? Can she hook me up? Get me an appointment? That'd be great.
I bet Hera does her hair.
Oh, because her name is Hera?
Yeah.
But I don't think Hera would know how to do hair. She's never had to mess with it.
Oh, yeah, she doesn't have hair.
Yeah, but she probably was like, wish I could have some hair to mess with. No, it's like a thing.
Well, who was it that asked us to talk about season 3 of Star Wars Rebels?
So we had two people. We had our friend Chickfant and at 2x_mum on Twitter.
Awesome. And then I know it looks like Christopher Marino on Twitter at Mental Madness asked, I know you are a Star Wars podcast, but would love on occasion going into other areas like Marvel, Disney, etc. So we kind of did that today a little bit.
We did a little bit. We need to get back on the ball, but we do have our other show, Fangirl Chat, where sometimes all three of us, sometimes the two of us, sometimes the one of us, joined by somebody else, talks about other things in fandom that we love. And we haven't done an episode in a while because we've all just been so busy. But that is definitely a good place to check out. I'm hoping that maybe we can do one for Finding Dory because, come on, Finding Dory.
Yes.
So, check out Fangirl Chat because it is definitely a place where we do other things. And we need to do more of those. And we'll start working those in as summer hits and we have more time to do stuff.
Speak for yourself.
Well, yeah, me. Me, where I have more time to do stuff.
So it'll be Teresa on Fangirl Chat.
Hey, I'm fine. I'll talk to myself now. Interview with Teresa and Teresa's cat today. How do you feel, Cat? All right. And speaking of cat.
Oh.
Ha ha.
Oh, look at that.
We actually had a great opportunity this month to sit down with a great Star Wars voice. She was also on our very first ever episode of Fangirls Going Rogue. And I can only be talking about the one, the only voice of Padme Amidala from Star Wars The Clone Wars and Numa from Star Wars Rebels, Kat Tabor. So let's jump into that.
The work I do, the work we both do, is in service to the Republic, to protect those who would otherwise be powerless to protect themselves.
Lucky for us, you've already decided to refuse.
Actually, I just changed my mind.
All right, I am so excited to have. Was that a dog?
That's my dog. Oh my god!
It's a dog this time. That's okay.
I don't know. I shall stop in a minute, but I don't know if there will be a possibility of having a dog free entirely.
Hey,
we've had cats.
We have cats all the time.
We have bunnies all the time, but you can't hear them, so
that was really perfect timing.
The dog was feeling it. So what's your dog's name? Because we're not going to talk to you anymore. We're just going to talk to the dog.
Her name is actually, her full name is Penelo Zissou Amidala Tabor.
Oh, I love that.
Wow.
That's quite an introduction. Well, Kat Tabor, welcome back to Fangirls Going Rogue. From episode 1, we had to have you back on to talk to you.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Glad that you guys are doing so well, too.
Well, thank you. We have new questions, and we had to go back and check and see if you answered our first set of questions, but we had to kind of change it up because things have changed in Star Wars. Since we were talking to you in the Clone Wars, it was... we were hoping it would keep going and no possibility of movies back in the day. So when Disney came along for you, we also know that you're a big Star Wars fan anyway, despite the Clone Wars, that was just a kind of bonus for you to be part of it. Has anything changed for you as a fan since the Disney sale?
Well, I think it would be hard for me to distinguish just as a fan and also as someone working in projects, because it was definitely bittersweet, not only that Clone Wars ended, but that Detours, which is something I'm extremely proud of. And we have, I think, 2 seasons worth of content is on hold. And that happened also with the sale. So although I was really excited, like everyone else, or like most people, to hear the news that there would be movies, it was also, like I said, it was like, I guess they say with every new beginning, there is an ending. But as a fan, it's definitely been exciting to see what's unfolding and to see The Force Awakens and actually to get to be a little part of that was really cool too. So, and I'm still working on The Old Republic, which is another Star Wars game, and I've been working on that for a while. So some things have continued, and I'm glad to see that happening, and I'm glad to see all of the content that's available now for Star Wars fans is it crosses all the different genres of games and movies and cartoons, and I think that that's really exciting and a good thing for everybody.
Well, and we're definitely going to get into talking about your involvement in The Force Awakens and, of course, talking about you watching it. But before we do, what is the one Star Wars possession that you would run back into the house to save if you had to?
My dog, whose middle name is Amidala. No. Let me see. One of the things that's really special to me, and it also would be irreplaceable because it's a one of a kind, is a drawing that Dave Filoni did for me one day when we were actually in a session, and it's just a pencil drawing, and he's an amazing artist, and it's a combination of the animated Padme character and of me, and I'm looking at it right now in my office. So that would probably be the one thing that I just knew that I wouldn't be able to replace, so that would be it.
Wow. And hopefully Amidala would be smart enough to run out with you.
Yes.
If your house is on fire.
While we're on the subject of Dave Filoni, it segues perfectly into my question that I wanted to. He spoke last week to the National Council on Women and IT. I don't know, have any of you guys seen that speech that's up at StarWars.com?
I have not. Wow, I didn't even know.
Yes. Well, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. And he's talking about coming into Star Wars, about starting with the Clone Wars and trying to change the way he makes this great kind of discussion about being in sports and people saying you don't play like a girl, and then sort of realizing that some of the things we say naturally and even do in storytelling to try to change perspective and bring women into the storytelling. And then at the end, they showed this beautiful montage of the female characters in Star Wars. And so much of it was the Clone Wars and then Rebels, obviously, to see all the great female characters. And then Rey, they had a little bit in there. So definitely go check out that video. It's about 24 minutes. But Kat, you got to be an important part of his discussion as far as he talked about Ahsoka and Padme and in the Clone Wars. So do you look back on it and see that as something that changed Star Wars? It was kind of changing the tide for female fans specifically.
Well, one of the amazing things about the original Star Wars is the character of Leia. And she already was groundbreaking for me in the aspect that, it wasn't that you viewed her as just this female character. She was this really cool, strong character. And I never really understood why the differentiation had to be there as much as it was about this is a female character, this is a such and such a character. It was just like, let's just write really cool characters. And inherently, some of them are going to be women. And, I know really cool women. I know you guys know really cool women. You are really cool women. Like, it's not in order to have, this amazing, interesting, strong character that you have to fabricate something that's, out of this world. it's just about more writing stories that talk about those characters and highlight those characters, and the idea that if you write a story that centers around a female character, I think there was for a long time this idea that people wouldn't be interested, which is really, I think, silly. And it also trickled down to the toys. They made so fewer female toys, thinking, oh, people don't want to buy them. And I hear every day from people who are frustrated because they can't get the female character toys because they don't make enough. So I think that was, inherently a part of Star Wars already. But Dave definitely took that and ran with it by creating the character of Ahsoka, who was someone, hopefully, that little girls would be able to, and little boys, that's kind of the point, like that kids would just look at and think, she's cool, she's strong, she's got her own opinions. And definitely with Padme, I felt that was always a part of who she was. And Dave was great about, letting me make sure that I felt like the voice that we were giving Padme was the one that she was meant to have, which again was not a pacifist, but someone who believes in diplomacy when necessary, but also is completely willing to get in there and fight when necessary too. And those characters, they exist, like I said, out in the world. We all know these amazing women, and it's just a matter of realizing that the audiences want to see those characters and having, the intelligence and I guess in the beginning, the bravery to say, no, we're gonna put a lot of female characters in here, knowing that your audience is gonna love that and not run away from that. So Dave was great about that, and I think that has a lot to do with why the show was so successful and why the show is appreciated by boys and girls alike.
Yeah, I think you make a great point in that, it's not necessarily about a male or a female character. It's writing a good character.
Right.
And I honestly think Rey really proved that in The Force Awakens. I mean, arguably she could have been a boy, but the fact that she was a girl and just a great character that everyone seemed to love, it was that great character. And then that also brought in a lot of young girls into the Star Wars fold, if you will, just because she was a girl.
Perfect example. She's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. It's like she's just a cool character. Mm-hmm. She has her own strength, her own opinions, her own, flaws and all these other things. She's not one-dimensional. And I think that she's someone that men and women can identify with and really appreciate. And that's the kind of characters that we need, just great characters, some of whom will just inherently, like I said, because it's half the population, happen to be women.
Yeah, and so let's talk a little bit, since we're on The Force Awakens, about the work that you got to do in The Force Awakens. How did it come about that you got to do just some voiceover for the film?
Well, the amazing Matt Wood, who we also know as General Grievous and the droids and a bunch of other things, but as you guys know, he's a sound designer for Lucas and has been on so many different projects and was on this, and he's just a great guy. And he had the capacity to say, hey, rather than hiring just some outside people to come in and do this stuff, which is normally what would happen in that case. It's called, ADR or looping. Mm-hmm. He contacted some of us from Clone Wars and then some other actors he's worked with on different things and invited us to come into the studio and get to have this really special day of not only seeing some of the footage of the film before everybody else, because that's the way that you do it when you're recording that kind of stuff, but to work with each other, which we hadn't done in a while and we enjoy so much. And to work with just people like James Arnold Taylor and Matt Lanter, Tom Kane was there, Sam Witwer was there. It was just an amazing day where we got to be a part of this amazing project in a way that I didn't know was going to happen. It's all owed to Matt Wood and him saying, this would be kind of cool to bring in these actors that I like and I'm friends with and I've worked with and do sort of this crossover there. And that day, we really all did feel very privileged and, just to sort of be a part of it. It was fun to watch everybody's faces because it was so different for everyone. I think Sam, who's such a huge Star Wars fan, was really torn about, did he want to see the footage before seeing the actual movie? And, so it was really cute to see some of the guys, turn into 7-year-olds.
Do you have a line that you liked saying the most? We have a few from the StarWars.com article that was titled "The Voices of Star Wars: The Force Awakens." So we have a couple in front of us, but do you have one that you really liked?
Well, that day, we were just doing all the different voices. So mostly the things are not distinguishable from one another. And most that were male voices because there was a lot of stormtroopers, and for whatever reason, a lot of the stuff that needed the ADRing tended to be more male driven. So, we were just doing aliens and townspeople and all that stuff. And so when the film came out, I was watching it with James Arnold Taylor actually, and I heard my line, which I'm sure you guys have it, but it's something to the effect of, charging the weapon, sir. And that we both looked at each other because it was so distinctly me. I was really thrilled and honored, and again, really grateful to Matt Wood for including me and then including me in a way that I could hear. It was just huge icing on my Star Wars cake. So.
That's so cool. Yeah, apparently you were in the Star Killer base control room and you respond to Hux and say, "Yes, sir, weapon charging."
Yes, exactly. It was definitely very, very cool to get to hear that and again be shocked.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, your other one was on that weekend that they have for us, where you were on the Star Destroyer during the TIE escape, and you were in the Hangar Control Center office saying transponder code ship ID 177.
Oh, that's great. Well, and on those things when we were doing all that stuff, so we're just kind of making stuff up. We're just saying things that sound like Star Warsy, and so anything that you actually just kind of said and made up that made it in there, it's like, wow.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I was wondering how that changes viewing The Force Awakens for you when so many of your friends that you can hear their voices peppered throughout.
Yeah, I mean, it made it kind of even more fun, especially to be watching it with James. And, especially with the aliens, there's one particular alien that Fred Tatasciore, another wonderful actor who I adore, very clearly knew it was him. And that's exciting. It was exciting, it's fun to pull them out, but it was also just really exciting to be a part of that project and to be a part of it with a group of people who were so excited and grateful to be a part of it. Like the whole thing, like I said, we all just kind of felt like kids in a Star Wars candy store. So thanks, Matt Wood. You are awesome.
How was it to come back and to do Rebels this past season and to rejoin the kind of that animation family?
It was a lot of fun. It was great to see Dave and other people that, Cameron, who recorded Clone Wars, is also the engineer. And so there was a lot of, nostalgia there. I did miss, because it's not Clone Wars, I didn't get to come in and see all my buddies, which would be even better. But I did, one of the days I actually was working with, I believe, Stephen Stanton. But it's just nice to, to continue to be a part of it. And especially with the character of Numa, who is just an absolute, sorry, there's a plane going over. The character of Numa, who's one of my absolute favorite. It was exciting to see her get a continued life.
Yeah, we were excited about that. When we heard that Leia was coming into the show, I just assumed that you were going to be playing Leia. And then when we found out it wasn't you, I was like, well, who's she going to be? And when we found out it was Numa, I got really excited.
Yeah, I would have loved to have played Leia. It was obviously not up to me. I didn't even audition. I always try to say there's definitely room for all of us to do different things. I've gotten to be Leia before. I hopefully will get to be Leia again. I hope you guys will all get to see Detours at some point. But yeah, but just getting to be a part of it was a lot of fun. And when I, got contacted and they said, you'll be playing a character named Numa, I was like, yes. So I still want Numa to get her own spin-off show. That's been my goal from day one. So
nice.
I'm trying to remember. Does Numa have a French accent too?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. As an adult. So when we first did her in Clone Wars, and she really doesn't say much, you can't distinguish it because she mostly just says Nana. So you don't really hear it. But now that she's grown up, she does.
Hera had to revert into her French accent, which I liked how they rationalized it, getting a little mad.
Well, it's funny because I'm from the South. That's where I grew up. And I can say that that's really true. Like you tend to fall back into your accent either when you are mad or really relaxed or if you've had too much to drink.
Or maybe if you're around people who have that same accent.
Yes. So I thought when they did that with Vanessa that was awesome. And she did such a great job. So she's another just amazing actress and amazing woman. So, Star Wars affords you the ability to work on cool content, but also work with such cool people.
Mm.
Speaking of some of your acting partners, I just saw Matt Lanter's the ad for his new show, Timeless. I was so excited. I was like, oh, I'm like, I know him.
I know. And he's so hideously ugly that I don't know why people keep hiring him. You know what's so great about Matt? I mean, I'm so excited for him about this show because he really is. He is just such a great actor. And he's also such a great guy that it's nice when good things happen to good people.
Oh,
I still say he's my Anakin. Like when I hear Anakin, I want to hear him. It's so, I mean, I don't know why his Anakin grew on me. And it was now, if I imagine a voice, that's what I hear.
Well, he's my Anakin, of course, and James is my Obi-Wan, and, those are the voices that I hear, too, and the faces that I see, so.
So I want to ask you about one of your acting creds that you have and kind of the difference between doing Lego Star Wars and doing Disney Infinity as Padme. Was the process any different working with Disney, especially now that they've canceled my favorite video game ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Legos is so funny because you're not really talking very much. So it's just a little bit more like, more sound effect driven and, and equally fun. I mean, I think that's kind of something that's fun though, is if you have a character that you play and you're Padme in Clone Wars, and then you're this little squishy short Padme, and how do you maintain, her Padme-ness in this different arena? So that's kind of a fun challenge. But I feel so close to that character that I enjoy doing that and being like, yeah, this is what Lego Padme would sound like. And for the Disney game, also I was working with a director that I had worked with before and had really started my Star Wars career with. So that was a really fun turnaround for that. And it's Darrow Farrell, who I also work with on the Old Republic. So it's fun to get to, venture back with the same people. And I did a game called Star Wars Uprising. That's the mobile game. And he was laughing when I came in. The character her name is Riley. She's another really cool character. And when I first came in, he was like, I was saying, gosh, can we hire her again? And I was like, yes, you can. It's a different character. It's totally not the same. Because I've, been lucky enough to work, in so many different Star Wars projects as different characters. But again, I just feel like it's because I know and love and understand the universe so well. So if if someone needs someone to be in a galaxy far, far away, I'm like, I'm your girl.
Well, just like Matt Wood saw in you, he got that group of Star Wars fans together to do the ADR for The Force Awakens. It makes a lot of sense because if you have that intrinsic understanding, it makes it a lot better. And I just think it's cool that now Star Wars is being made by Star Wars fans.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was with Clone Wars too, certainly, because Dave Filoni is, a super fan.
That's very true.
outside of Star Wars, you have a show, Loud House, on Nickelodeon. I also saw it's on Amazon Video. Do you want to tell people a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's funny because I've been really blessed to work on these shows where the casts are just amazing, and everybody always says that, but I really have been lucky in that the cast I'm working with, we become like family. And this one, the cool thing is that it's there's 10 sisters and one brother, so there are many female actresses working on it that normally it's not the case. Normally you go in to do an animated show and maybe there's one female character and the rest are men. So to get a chance to work with this many women is amazing. But that could be scary because get that many women together and you could have problems. But it's not like that at all. And that's what's been so lovely about it. So it's a great show. The creator is Chris Savino, who did Kick Buttowski, and he's just an amazing guy in the heart of the show. And it's about a 10-year-old boy who has 10 sisters and how life ensues. And it's on Nickelodeon, and the target audience is certainly, kids, but I've been already told by so many adults how much they enjoy it, and I feel the same. And I think it's the humor and the realism that Chris brings to the project about family that resonates with all of us. So it's been really a great experience. And a little Star Wars factoid is that Nika, aka Ventress, Nika Futterman, plays one of my sisters. So I do get to see her again every week, which is amazing. I'm sure there'll be some other Star Wars people showing up at different parts, but Nika and I are both in there. Oh, and Gray Delisle, who has done many things in Star Wars. She plays several of the sisters. So, and we just found out yesterday that we already got picked up for a second season, which is amazing.
Yay!
That's awesome. So I'm looking at a picture of the sisters. Which one do you play?
I play Lori, who is the oldest. She's 17. She's a blonde with blue eyeshadow, and she usually has her phone in her hand texting her boyfriend.
Okay.
And then Nika plays Luna, who is the sort of rocker musician of the sisters. And she's got a cute little short pixie haircut, and she wears some purple. This is how you can tell who she is. So.
Oh, I see her.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, nice.
I went and did just looking up, before we did the interview, and I read some reviews and I saw nothing but praise for the show. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have to watch this because I have Amazon Video. So I'm excited. I
feel like it's pretty special. I really do. I feel like it's, just one of those shows again. And it's because of the heart of it. And, it's really different from Clone Wars and Star Wars because it's not, the same kind of subject matter. It's not sci-fi, but it has a lot of heart, which I think is what makes a project good.
Awesome.
Well, do you have any other projects you're working on that you can tell us about?
Well, Minecraft has been, we're continuing with that. We just, I think episode 6 or 7 is about to come out. I can't remember which number it is, but that's been another amazing journey for me to be a part of that franchise, which is in some ways, I go places and it's bigger than Star Wars, especially with the kids. So that's been a lot of fun. And to that cast also is amazing. Let's see. Continuing, I just did some more stuff for the Old Republic. So there will be some more Vet coming out, which is also really fun and really cool. And then I've got some other little stuff happening, because I do on camera as well. So I have some things happening there, but it's always funny because it's never as exciting as Star Wars or Minecraft. So I'm like, I just appeared on Jane the Virgin, but, people probably don't think that's as interesting as Star Wars. So I
love that show.
Yeah, it's a great show, but I gratefully keep very busy. So, which is good.
So, Kat, did you celebrate Star Wars Day in any way special?
I really didn't. That was what was funny was that was one of those days. Occasionally it happens where I'm so busy and I had back-to-back sessions. And I think I did something on Instagram as I was going to sleep because I had been totally, and again, gratefully busy that whole day in sessions and not Star Wars sessions. Otherwise that would have been appropriate. So I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to do something. So I think I just posted a picture on Instagram, but otherwise I did not get to do any super special, fun Star Wars stuff that day. But the Force was with me.
The workforce was with you.
Yes, exactly.
Are you going to be heading to Star Wars Celebration Europe?
No, somebody else just asked me that too. I just don't think it's feasible.
Right.
I wish that it was. It sounds amazing. Hopefully the next time I will be there. Are you guys all going to go?
Oh, well, Tricia.
Yes, I'm hosting a panel, and I have, and I'm teaming up with Star Wars Report to do a Fangirls Going Rogue Star Wars Report podcast from the podcast stage. So
wow, that's awesome. So you'll be representing. We'll live vicariously through you.
Yeah.
I'm not going this year. I am actually going to celebrate what would have been Star Wars weekends the last weekend at Disney World. I'm going to go stand where the parade would usually come out and take a very sad picture.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things too. I think that's one of those heartbreaking. Of all the good things, there's some things that are really sad, and that's definitely one of them. And I know a lot of people are sad about that, and will miss Star Wars weekends, myself included.
Yeah, that's where I first met you.
I know.
And so that was the meet and greets with the actors and the sessions with the actors in the, that I'm really going to miss from functionally. There's a lot of the Star Wars weekend stuff going on, but not those little stage shows. Mm-mm. So maybe someday when they're back and have everything organized, I'll get back to that because those were fun.
Yeah, I hope so. I think that's the kind of stuff that fans really appreciate, and it's so unique, and I hope that they do because and we enjoyed doing that kind of stuff. Again, it's I feel like it's really kind of special for everyone and not something that you get to do all the time. So hopefully they'll bring that back.
We hope so too, and hopefully here at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Sarah.
I don't know why, just because you have so much more access to the people and the business that they wouldn't maybe try to do that at some point. So
yeah, and I'm sure if the fans continue to ask for it, that will, encourage them as well.
Do you think that if fans keep asking for detours, that it'll come eventually?
I hope so, and I think I hope that fans do that. From everything that I've always heard, people's different takes on it, it will be there at some point. It's really great, and it's really different. So I hope so. There's so many amazing people in it who do just great jobs. I think it would be a real tragedy if it's not available. I understand not wanting to have it right at the, before The Force Awakens or at the same time, because it is such a different take on the franchise. But I think it's a take that the fans are smart enough to, understand and distinguish the two from each other. And speaking of people who are fans making Star Wars content, Seth Green and Matt, his partner, they're huge fans. So that was made with lots of Star Wars love. Because Detours is really, I don't want to say it's adult because that makes it sound like it's
profane or
racy.
Something.
Yeah, and it's not. It's some of the humor within it and some of the inside jokes and some of the underlying themes are actually going to be more for the adult Star Wars fans. And I think that's what they'll really enjoy. When I say that it's a smart show, that's really what I mean. It's a very smart show. And it's just entertaining too. So, and I got to sing the Ewok song. So.
What?
Well, just for that reason, we want it.
I actually sang 3 times in that show already. And we were only 2 seasons in. So, yeah. So,
wow.
and again, that makes it sound wacky, which, like I said, it's hard to explain. It's its own thing. It's not Robot Chicken. It's not Lego Star Wars. It's really its own thing, and really great. So my fingers are crossed, and I would say any fans that want to, let them know that they would like to see it. Keep telling them.
Start tweeting, everyone. Hashtag bring back detours.
Yes. Well, and I need it to come out because my co-host for the show that I do about Star Wars books, he had a detour shirt that I guess he got from
I have that shirt
Celebration.
too.
Well, here's the problem. On his last trip to Disney, it got washed with clothes, something that was new, and it got damaged and it has pink streaks all over it.
Oh, no.
So it was the Stormtrooper detour shirt, and so it got destroyed. And of course, he can't get another one.
Yeah.
So I need some detour stuff to come out.
Yes. No, and like I said, I mean, I think at some point they will release it. I hope so, and I'm sure if people ask for it, that will make it, more likely to happen. So, hashtag detours.
Nice. Well, Kat, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Is there any way like people can tweet at you, or you're on Instagram?
So Twitter is @CatTaber, which is CATTABER. And I think Instagram's the same because in both cases someone already had Catherine Tabor. So we have my shortened nickname version. And I'll say on Facebook there are other people pretending to be me that are not me.
Whoa.
The only Facebook presence that I have it's called the Catherine Tabor fan page, not just Catherine Tabor. I've actually tried to talk to Facebook. It's really difficult to get them to take things down. So it's been a little frustrating. But if you're following someone on Facebook and thinking that it's me, and it's not me. Like one person was like, "Wow, you talk a lot about health products and these shakes or something," and I was like, "Yeah, that's not me." And he was really surprised. So I'm starting to tell people now, like, it's not me. I'm not advertising some health products. Not that I'm against health products, but that's not what I would talk about on there. Yeah. So, and then Instagram and Twitter are @CatTaber, and you can tell it's me. I mean, on those, you can, I'm talking about Star Wars. I'm talking about oysters and my dog. So that's how you can tell it's me.
That's a fun combination. Oysters, Star Wars, and my dog.
Yes. All the things I love.
All right, Kat. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it, and we will have you on again soon.
Yeah. So if you just did 33, then
this will be episode 33.
Okay. So what about episode 66?
Well, there you go. She's lining it up already.
Oh.
It's got all kinds of implications. It's very Star Wars related. So there we go.
We will remember that.
It's got her dark side in her.
Yeah, it's coming out a little.
You seem so light side, but I'm glad because I'm the dark side out of all three of us. So yay!
I'm a little both. I got to tell you. Obviously, the character Padme is not, but I'm a little of both.
Vet has she's a little bit more.
Yeah,
the borderline there.
She's light side living in a dark side world.
Yeah.
So there's a little of it in all of us, I think, and the dark side sometimes has the better clothes and the better toys. So
you have a point.
True story.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much. I will hopefully see you or talk to you again on episode 66.
Awesome. Sounds good.
All right. Have a good one. May the Force be with you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Shout it out to the social media from Teresa and Tricia and Sarah. Shout it out, fangirl shout outs.
So this is the time to see what our listeners have to say, what they're talking about. And I guess when the news broke that Fangirls Going Rogue was going to be at Celebration Europe, we got some nice feedback. So 2x mum at 2x_mum on Twitter said, at Fangirl Tina, ooh, this is great news. As a loyal listener, I was hoping somebody of Fangirls Going Rogue would come to London and then # happy dance. No. # happy dance.
Woohoo! And
woohoo!
I can just see that happy dance. Oh.
And also Patty Bones. So at Patty Bones 2 on Twitter. She also said, Fangirls Going Rogue on stage in Europe. Awesome. So how can I help? And Patty also reached out to me. And as soon as I know more details, I will be reaching out and asking for help. So, but it was nice because there was Mark Newbold did a really cool write-up on StarWars.com that she was referencing. So that's how people found out.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, Patty Bones had helped us at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim and made all those pixie dust for us. So she is amazing. Now, Sandra Shoot, she actually posts on our Facebook page every Tuesday a # Trivia Tuesday questions. And this time on Facebook, we got some fun responses. So question 2 for this Trivia Tuesday was, what's Chewbacca's home planet? # Trivia Tuesday. And we had some fun responses, including Dan Scott, who said, Kansas.
Thank you. It was autocorrect.
Yep. And then he posted immediately after, sorry for the typo, Kashyyyk. So I thought that was amusing.
You know what's funny about that is I would have been like, you know what? I think I know he's trying to say Kashyyyk.
Yeah. That was amusing. So we thought that was funny, and we want to thank all of you for participating in any of those questions or just responding to feedback. We love that when you tweet at us at FG Going Rogue.
Yay!
Yes! Did you see that?
Fangirl Flip!
Sidious, Anakin, Luke and Leia, Qui-Gon Jinn, C.O. Bibble, Kylo Ren, Salacious Crumb, Bib Fortuna, Boba Fett, Amidala, Wicket, R2-D2, BB-8, I can barely keep it straight. It's a character discussion. It's the Fangirls on character. It's a character discussion.
Okay, so our character discussion for this particular episode actually occurred to me today. I've been rereading the Harry Potter books, and it dawned on me that in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Dolores Umbridge gets appointed the High Inquisitor. And the term Inquisitor struck a chord because of the Inquisitors on Star Wars Rebels. So I thought our character discussion could be about all the Inquisitors that we've seen on Star Wars Rebels, and also kind of tie that into other characters that we see throughout pop culture that kind of serve that same purpose. So to start this off, I want to find out who y'all's favorite Inquisitor from Star Wars Rebels has been. So Tricia's first.
So,
which one's your favorite?
The Seventh Sister. and she's not going to be there anymore. And Kanan didn't do the dirty deed. So, but I just liked her because she was sassy and she had those her little spy droids that went around and mapped things. And so I guess she's a STEM character too, in a way. Ooh, look at that. But the question is, did we ever figure out who was what ranking, the 5th and the 7th? I never felt like the end we had an answer to if there was a ranking system or not.
No.
I don't think we ever found out an answer to that question. Sarah, who's your favorite?
So I was going to say the Seventh Sister, but someone stole it from me.
That's so evil and Sithy.
Seems like something that Teresa would do.
Well, Teresa's asking the question, so Teresa did not have the opportunity.
I know. Okay. So I would say my favorite would have to be the Grand Inquisitor because of his voice.
Oh, that is a good reason.
I do so admire your persistence. Ready to die?
Jason Isaacs is like amazing voice, and I've always loved his voice. Even in was he voicing someone in The Lion King? Or am I thinking of someone else?
No, that's Jeremy Irons.
Ah, okay. Jeremy Irons, Jason Isaacs. Yes, they're very similar.
Well, Jason Isaacs is Lucius Malfoy.
Right. Oh, there you go. Psh. Yeah.
Let me see.
red hair, vacant expressions, tatty, second-hand book. You must be the Weasleys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love his voice. Everyone in Dude, we have so many Harry Potter Star Wars connections. Speaking of
it's
Inquisitors.
Just interesting to me. I asked out on Twitter today who was worse, Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter as an Inquisitor or the Grand Inquisitor. And every single person said Umbridge.
Yes.
And there was some good reasoning for that. So let me find the exact tweet. But there was some really good reasoning behind why people were picking who they picked. Mm-hmm. And I think that when you look at it through that lens, it makes a lot of sense. So at Ann KUCH13 on Twitter said, Umbridge, because she represents the corruption of good. With the Grand Inquisitor, we know that the Empire is evil. And I thought that was interesting because what we do find out about the Grand Inquisitor is that he used to be a Jedi Temple Guard or is a Jedi Temple Guard or something. Mm-hmm. And so I started thinking, well, is the Grand Inquisitor really a sign of true evil of the Empire? Or is he, again, that same sort of corruption of good? So, Tricia, what do you think in this story, lady?
Well, the Inquisitors come from the, real life historical, the Grand Inquisitions of, these were essentially the way that one religion got people to come toe the line or to get people who didn't think the way they did, get them out of the way. There was sometimes the people who were leading the Inquisitions were people who, were supposed to be men of God. We think of them as being good. They're supposed to be good people, but they were not doing good things. Mm-hmm. So to see the Grand Inquisitor or see the Inquisitors come from the Jedi, it's not something that surprises me because in our own real life history, we see that there were a lot of things done that were evil that were done in the name of religion. So if there are a lot of times when we look at the parallels of the Jedi Order, and a lot of people, when we first saw them back in the original trilogy, thought of them as sort of like monks that were, supposed to be guardians of the peace and light. And then obviously the prequel trilogies showed us that sometimes things happen and they didn't do good things. So it didn't surprise me, that twist. It seemed very natural.
Mm. Now, Sarah, how would you compare the Inquisitors that we see in things like Harry Potter to the Inquisitors from Star Wars? Because they seem the same yet different. Because in Harry Potter, of course, she's investigating the school and she's trying to basically get rid of anybody that doesn't adhere to the Ministry of Magic's teachings.
Right, Dolores Umbridge.
Right. Whereas the Inquisitors in Star Wars seem to just be out to kill people that were Jedi or the remaining Jedi.
Right. Well, yeah, so they have two different tasks. The Inquisitors in Star Wars are tasked with getting rid of the Jedi, in other words, annihilating them. Whereas Dolores Umbridge, she is tasked with getting information and just, putting people in jail, so she can't use the whole killing kids. She can't kill kids at the school. That would be bad, but she certainly has no problem torturing them, which is something
with
that
an evil quill.
Yes, which is something I don't think the Inquisitors ever get to do. They're just trying to, kill the Jedi. So that's kind of the difference there. That's the line that is crossed there. But in a way, I think Dolores, it's torture is worse, I think, than death in some cases, especially with that horrible quill. Man, that she made me hate that book. Not hate it, but just
Yeah, she did. And I'm rereading it right now, and I'm realizing how much of that book is left out of the film.
A
lot.
Well, it's so depressing. Like I seriously got some major teenage angst while reading that book. Like I would be in a bad mood after, while reading it.
rereading it now, like I'm loving it more than I did.
Oh, that's good.
Like, and I've read them. I read them every year, but for some reason this year it's a little bit different. But I'm glad you brought up the torture thing because Franklin Taylor, who's at SpearXXI on Twitter, said the Grand Inquisitor will torture you. Umbridge will make you torture yourself.
Oh,
which is a good point. And in a way, it almost makes her more evil because she does it sort of, sneakily behind your back. But you mentioned the thing about how she's just out to get information. To me, in a way, in Harry Potter, it's actually very similar to what the Inquisitors are doing, which is trying to get rid of the Jedi. She's trying to squish out any possible
opposition
or anybody who believes that Lord Voldemort has returned and that that they're not safe anymore. She's trying to squash out that thinking. She's trying to push it into their heads that they're fine, that the ministry is correct, that they just need to trust in what their government is telling them, and that, you shouldn't listen to people who are saying all these bad things. And so she's trying to squish all that out, which is very similar to like trying to squish out the Jedi at the same time. It's like that same whole political thing of you shouldn't be allowed to exist. Type of deal. And it sort of goes back to some of the things we see in history, like with World War II and some of those things of trying to stamp out certain kinds of ideals.
Yeah.
Which ties back into what Tricia was saying as far as, religion and saying you have to believe our way. You have to think the way that we think. And so in a way, to me, Inquisitors are the people who do the dirty work of trying to enforce what people of power have decided should be the way. And we kind of see that in everything. And I just think it's sort of interesting that they exist outside of just Star Wars. Because you hear the word Inquisitor and you're just like, that's a cool name. But if you break that word down and really look at where other things like that pop up, it's kind of everywhere. It's even in Lord of the Rings. I guess is it in Gondor or Rohan? I think it's Rohan, in the Kingdom of Rohan, where the sort of Jafar, that's what I call him, the Jafar of that kingdom has sort of taken over the king to try to brainwash him and to make everybody think the way that he thinks. And so we see it all over the place.
I wanted to tie that back into our discussion last time on episode 32 about the trees and knowledge, what they represent. The Inquisitors, specifically the Inquisitor in Star Wars Rebels, and even the Inquisitors in the expanded universe that they had. And we see the Seventh Sister, she has her little spy droids. They're gaining knowledge. And the Inquisitor, he would find things out. His whole angle was to, not like Darth Maul, who was a character who was just kind of ferocious and very, he was about power and strength and ability. And when it came down to it, when Kanan fought the Inquisitor, he was able to defeat him because the Inquisitor's strength was in knowing things and understanding things about people. It was more about a mental game and understanding how people thought and then countering or maybe predicting what they would do or where they would go. And so it was about gaining knowledge about people and what they thought and how they would react in situations. So, evil can come in different forms. You could just have brute force, or you could have people who are coming in and using intelligence and that kind of way. So I think of a lot of times we see even spy agencies. It's that kind of game for the dark side as opposed to a brute force type of evil.
Well, I want to know, is there any point in storytelling where an Inquisitor is good? Or does it always have to have a bad connotation?
Well, I mean, it'd be about gaining knowledge but it's almost the term because of the historical context. It seems like you'd have to get beyond the way, someone who would be doing the same type of thing and being good would be like a truth seeker. They would be called something different. It's the context of the name itself that inspires fear, because you think of those things you learned about history and you go, oh, Inquisition, that was when they tortured people and they tie them up and tear them apart to get information or just to make them scream or, right. So the word itself, if you're, when you're telling stories, if you want to suggest something to somebody without even, I always think of, we make fun of George Lucas sometimes for his names like Savage Opress, but what we did know without knowing anything about the character, essentially what he was going to be about. So there is something to naming characters that's going to inspire. So the term Inquisitor itself is going to make your brain go to certain assumptions.
Well, and I think that is a good place to end this episode. That turned into a really cool discussion, my little query that I had today. So, yay. Okay, so before we wrap this up, I just want to remind everybody that I am going to be at Walt Disney World for the Rebel Force Radio Meetup. It's happening on Friday, June 10th over at Hollywood Studios. Be paying attention to my Twitter and Instagram, as well as Rebel Force Radio's Twitter and Instagram for all the details on where you can meet us on Friday. I know it's going to be probably earlier in the day or midday, something like that. We're going to meet up, we're going to hang out, we're going to talk, we're going to ride Star Tours 5,000 times, and we're just going to have an all-around good time. And then on Saturday, and hopefully you've gotten your ticket, but over at the Hilton Orlando, or the Hilton Downtown Disney Springs, the one right there at Disney Springs, is where the live Rebel Force Radio podcast will be happening, and you can watch the whole thing go down, and I will be podcasting with the guys for that episode of Rebel Force Radio, and it's going to be a blast. So come out and see me, and if you come and see me, you can get a Fangirls Going Rogue button. So if you want to get in touch with us in between now and our next episode, you can visit us over at fangirlsgoingrogue.com, our wonderful website where we keep everything as up to date as humanly possible. You can follow us on Twitter. We are at FG Going Rogue. Tricia is at Fangirl Cantina. I am at Ice Cold Penguin, and Jedi is at Jedi Tink.
Jedi? I'm a Jedi now?
Today.
What? You didn't say my name. You said Jedi. Is that Jedi Tink?
Oh, my bad. Sure. Okay, so Sarah is Jedi Tink, or the Jedi of the show is Sarah. Yeah.
And you can email us anytime. We love it when you send us emails. Contact at fangirlsgoingrogue.com. Facebook, just type Fangirls Going Rogue, and we will come up. Tumblr, always going with lots of cool pictures, lots of artwork. I'm seeing up there fangirlsgoingrogue.tumblr.com.
And on Instagram, we are at FG Going Rogue as well. And you can leave us a voicemail, 33121 Ewoks. And be sure to sign off with yub yub. And we also have t-shirts available. So if you head to fangirlsgoingrogue.com, you can click on the Support Us tab and find your Fangirls Going Rogue t-shirts with the new logo on it. And they're so pretty, you guys. I have mine right now, and they're so cute. So I totally recommend them.
And please go to iTunes and leave a positive 5-star review. We don't request much, just 5 stars. And we need your reviews. They are our lifeblood, so people will know to go find us as an awesome podcast.
That's right. So until next time. Da 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 da. Yub 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 yub. Bam. Awesome.
Nice segue.
Yeah.
That was not intentional. I was actually looking at my cat at the time.
Yay. Woo-hoo. That was very good. That was like streamlined, you guys.
We might be getting good at this podcast thing,
right?
maybe.